Great. Gotcha. Okay. That would not be very good. Okay. Well, depends on what kind of movie you're making. So, okay. Yeah. In 2010, we worked with CWA, the Canadian Watercross Association, because it had been revived, and we became one of the major sponsors of the Canadian Tour for several years. That allowed us to really amp ourselves up as a team. We became a lot more solidified. We had more races. We had more team members racing. We had more wins. We really were doing well. And in 2010, at the World Finals, I was due to race Pro Weekend, which is Saturday and Sunday. And on Friday, they had finished up the amateur class races, and it was my 18th birthday. And I was watching the amateur limited race. I can't quite remember which one it was. And
I was watching one of the races and...
Okay. I just want to see who this is. Okay. Corey's on his way. Okay. At the World Finals in 2010, which was my second World Finals, I was watching a race on the last amateur race of the Friday before Pro Weekend, and I was due to race Pro Saturday and Sunday in the women's limited class. Because of, I guess, several logistical reasons, there was an accident involving 3 jet skis, and one of the men passed away while he was racing. And that really threw me off as a racer. And, you know, every time someone dies in a sport, we all know it's a possibility, but we never truly understand how impactful that is until you see it happen in front of you. And it puts you in check as a racer, as a human being. And the following day, I had my race, and I was racing against 3 women on the one side of the split on the track. And she jarred the other female racer and fell off. And because I was behind her, I was basically faced with a split-second ultimatum of either running her over or hitting into her jet ski. And I chose automatically to crash into her jet ski, which I did, which sent me flying. I know what it's like to fly now. And I finished the race, ironically enough, but I ended up with my neck in a brace for about a week, and I turned out to be just fine. About a year later, when we started racing the 2011 season circuit, I found that every time I raced, I was having severe pain in my wrist and hand, which was my dominant trigger hand. And every time I raced, the more painful it became. And the only way to describe it was like needles digging into your wrist joint and impacting your fingers. And so they took me to the Mayo Clinic to be analyzed by the sports medicine department. And they found that when I initially had my accident, I had basically jarred my wrist and impacted it. And I lived and raced for 3 seasons afterwards with that pain. And finally, it was too much, which caused me to retire in 2012. The last race I did was I came first as the Canadian national champion for Women's Runabout Limited, and I continued to operate the team and the other racers on that team for 1 more year. And just due to life, we decided to dissolve Notwickan Racing in December 2013. And we all have moved on really well. Some of us are still racing. Some of us are not, for obvious reasons. But, I think it caused us to learn a lot in our lives, and it taught us how to be team players. It taught us how to be assertive and
Cereal.
it's a longboard going down the hallway. Okay. It taught us how to essentially operate as a family and operate as a team and prioritize each other and what we were doing. It gave us sincere amounts of maturity. It took us places we'd never possibly dream that we would ever go. I think one of the funniest things that ever happened to us was we had to go to Charleston, West Virginia for a race. And that was the first time I'd ever seen pickles packed in juice in a plastic bag in the till at a gas station. That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. You expect a gas station to have just regular stuff, not pickles packed in their own juice. That was actually an interesting race because there was garbage in the lake, and I actually came out with an infection. It was not all glamorous. But I would never trade the years that I had. I became top 10, top 5 in the world, top 3 in the world. And that's incredible coming podium for someone who had only raced professionally for 5 years. It's unfortunate that, when your time is up, and that's only dictated by nature. But it really is something that I would encourage everyone to experience at least once in their life. Trying to think of what else to say. I think Corey's here. Can we cut? I'm just gonna go get him.
Yeah.